Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Nest for the fourth and final game of the LJL 2022 summer season, day number 17. Masks One, Beautiful Crow, and Nymera over on the opposite side. Gentlemen, Sengoku Gaming face off against Burning Core. Now, Sengoku Gaming obviously are that team that are sitting at that tied first spot at the moment with their Nation Focus Me and technically have that head-to-head. So they're actually ahead of DFM at the moment, but we won't talk about those shenanigans because the Hawks are playing against Burning Core. And honestly, if you want to take it from a team that really need this win more than anybody else, it's arguably at this moment in time Burning Core.
Yeah, I agree. I think, not to like really ham it up, but this game does mean a lot when we are for Burning Core, right? Because Burning Core are this team that we thought had finally become like this actual mid to upper tier team for a little while, particularly on that first round robin in spring. They were looking really good, but they've just started petering out. They've really not managed to stick to it. And now they're at the point where they might not make playoffs again. We thought we'd got over this slump of last year when we had the infamous Sengoku Burning Core match. Maybe that's what was heralded in the game before, with no activity and nothing happening. These teams have come an awful long way from that last year. But now we're at a point where Burning Core are at risk of missing playoffs again. And it's a hard ask them to take this win against one of the most dominant teams in our region right now.
And I want to just caveat my point that Sengoku will be tied when they win, and they tie with DFM once again. Obviously, DFM are currently 15-2, Sengoku 14-2. We need to play this match, obviously. I just wanted to mention that. Crow, coming to you, sir. Burning Core, how do you think they can find the win here?
Man, that is a question and a half.
But an open one, because you have any options, sir.
Yeah, okay, so hear me out. There's an angle in which if they one, don't put Flawless on a tank. I don't want to see the Trundle. Please, God. Look, if you're listening, I know I've been a bad boy recently, but just give me this one thing. Just don't put him on a tank for this game. Get Ray Farkey onto something that allows him to have the agency. Because, we talked a lot about how Ray Farkey was a very bright point for this team, but he just has not been doing what he needs to be doing recently. Get Flawless on something that gives him some more agency. Get Ray Farkey on something that he can actually carry on and just roll all the dice you have and hope they land on the most positive results, because this is such an important match for Burning Core. But Sengoku, they're just trying to keep going, steamroll, claim that number one spot definitively. So it's a tall order for Burning Core.
That was the answer I came to for Burning Core for quite a lot, right? Because Ray Farkey has forever been, since we tuned in 2020, this laner who is actually good at carries, could carry a game on his own. His Darius is legendary. I actually wonder if at this point, Burning Core needs to support Flawless instead. I actually think that at least Ray Farkey has shown a little bit more skill and a bit more ability to slot into teams, something like a disruptive Gragas or something like that. No, is it what we want to see from him? Not on an individual level, but I think for the team, I actually wonder if you need to get Flawless a good jungle matchup. I wonder if that's the only way you can work around this, and that's difficult. It's really difficult versus Sengoku.
You're saying that's to do with, let's have a jungle matchup versus once. Really, this is the player you're like, yeah, let's back up Flawless. And honestly, is that honestly their best option, Nymera? Like, is this really the player they should do this against? The man who will willfully pick a Lee Sin into a matchup where it's losing and he'll still find a way to win.
No, I think that's your only option right now, because Flawless, when he is behind, is such a different player. I mean, you look at their last couple of games, they were playing stuff like Kindred, Morgana, and it is Feast or Famine. That's exactly the term for it. And once was that player. Now, he's evolved past that point at this point. Once, if we're going to talk about Sengoku, we talked a lot of time. Because, once was this guy who was like, I'm going to invade, I'm going to play Graves, and I'm going to steal your buff or die trying, and then die trying again. And this was the guy that would fall behind. I think that if you're going to take what is a huge upset win versus Sengoku, I think you need to get Flawless ahead and make sure he is the wrecking ball. But as we're saying, Sengoku, we've been talking about this from the Burning Core perspective. Sengoku are so good around that role. Once has been a star player from this year.
And I mean, talking about star players, roles, and coming in, we've not even mentioned this side of the map yet, gentlemen. I want to take it bot side, because obviously we originally saw Dient with Yuhi support for the first few days. That was then thrown out the window. Yuki came back into the AD carry role. Loser came in, had a decent few showings, even when they didn't always pick up those wins. Loser was seen as an interesting rookie coming in, an exciting one at that. Very aggressive, always willing to skill check. Hasn't been working so well. And honestly, Mr. Consistent NT, the player that has always made top 3, except that one time that he didn't. But that every other time he's always
the one time they missed playoffs. Yeah,
it went awfully for them that one time. And then obviously at the moment it's vital in the AD carry role coming into today's match. The Sengoku bot lane has for the last few years, honestly speaking, even when Yutori Moashi was still on the main roster.
Consistent.
They've been so good, haven't they, Naimara?
They've been very consistent. And I think particularly NC was a player that would kind of ebb and flow a little bit. You know, sometimes he'd have some moments where he's like, okay, you know, he's not pulling out the star performances. But this year, NC, you know, he's not a player I often see making like the game-winning move, but he's always a factor. And I think this year, actually, I'm starting to come to realize that this has been one of NT's best years of his career too. Sengoku got a lot of players peaking at the right time. And that means that we do have this actually overall very high-level, consistent team from Sengoku. And that's why they've managed to not only... I think the special thing about this team is that because they're so consistent and performing on an individual level, even when they're not smashing early game, they're finding ways to just, look, well, hold on, we're just going to be better than them in the mid and late game. And that's what they've done.
And they've done it for so long. And what's impressive for me as well, this split, is they're playing it on a slight variety of champions. Most of them have been on that Tahm Kench with the Senna. Like, that is not something we had seen a huge amount from NT in previous splits. Tahm Kench had been one of his most played champions, I believe, historically, but it was not something I was hugely expecting from them. But what's also great is they brought out the Renata Plus. They've been playing Yumi, though. They've been Tama. Like, they are expanding, and it just is great to see them go from strength to strength. Is it going to be good enough to get them to Worlds, though, Naimara? That's the big ask.
I was actually chatting to Sam about this the other day, as we do. Occasionally we like to natter about the LJL. No, I think that the, you know, effectively what was a best of 2 between Sengoku and DFM, because let's be honest, DFM are the team they're looking at. Maybe there's an upset against the Hawks, we'll see, right? But effectively that kind of redraft was a mini-series between the two teams. Now, it's been a while since we've had, you know, best of 3s in the regular season for LJL, but seeing the adaptation from Sengoku just it reminds me a little bit of how Sengoku in spring, when they had those 2 best of 5s against DFM, started off from a level below DFM and actually quickly improvised and adapted to a point where they really threatened them. In this split, if they're coming at a higher level in regular split, coming with a 2-1 head-to-head over them and having more experience on the board of kind of adapting to what they're throwing at them, I think they are now looking like a seriously strong contender. Would I call them favorites? I can't in good faith call them that. I think DFM's fundamentals right now, the way they play the early game, if they have a good draft, are looking like the better team overall, even if the standings are not going to reflect that at the end of the season. But when it comes into the best of 5s, we are going to see a close run thing, and that is perfect. You want high competition to push these teams to develop and to evolve past their initial state.
As our lovely producer Chris Edgeworth is thrown on screen, Jet facing off against weird player to highlight, but a player nonetheless to highlight as they're coming in for their first match of the summer season. Player we saw a lot from Burning Core, that's Fujimoto. Originally, obviously, he was on that academy lineup back in 2021, the team that went deep against V3 Esports, but sadly was not able to be victorious. They came in and had a decent split in performance with Burning Core in the spring season. Coming in, though, for the summer season, I'm surprised to see the 3rd support player come in, honestly, Crow. Like, this is a long line of changing things up a lot. What's your gauge on this?
Yeah, didn't see this coming. I'm gonna be real. Like, we had been talking about, you know, the Yuhi loser duo. Things like, yeah, loser's been pretty cool. I'm glad they're, you know, trying them out, seeing what they can do with them. And haha, psych, it's Fujimoto time. And like it has been highlighted, we have not seen him since spring playoffs when they lost to RJ, I believe. So it's interesting to see because he hasn't been playing in academy, I don't think either, right?
No, he's not been. No, he has just been their backup support player this whole time.
This is
This is great
yeah,
because I'm sat here and I'm like, wow, I only remember Burning Core playing with Fujimoto because I've not managed to cast him that much this split. So, you know, I've watched a lot of, and things, a lot of the Burning Core
You've missed
games
nothing,
when they've been playing with like Yuhi as support or Loser or whatever they're rotating in, right? I'm sat there like, they're not leaving much of an impact on me. At least Fujimoto in that spring split was a player I was like, okay, yeah, he's actually
bringing in your supplies for your 2-hour pause. Here's your caffeine mug.
Regardless of whatever's going on currently with my Marin initialize, Fujimoto and Burning Core are kicking it back to spring 2022 style versus Sengoku Gaming. Pick and ban phases here, gentlemen. Take us away.
Well, Sam just prepared me. He prepared me for a 2-hour pause. I don't know what he's heard from the other side of the rift.
Oh, no.
I have snacks, I have caffeine. I'm ready for a long one. How about you?
You know what? We can do it. I am totally up for it. I am caffeinated as well with my non-descriptive energy drink brand. So we're here to play some League of Legends, and with the news, Fujimoto back in, returning to that form that they had in spring. They did reasonably well in spring. So
first round robin especially, right? First round robin especially.
Yeah.
And I looked at Fujimoto as a support player who was actually playing really well. Burning Core, when they were ahead with this roster in spring, were seriously good. That was when DICE was playing a lot of Victor. Fujimoto was playing, I believe, lots of Tahm Kench even back then, playing some Thresh, although Thresh has fallen out of meta. But now, having a Sivir, which we have again seen a couple of times today, and Sivir on the whole has been an incredibly strong champion that gets to push in and gets to do lots of like lane control. I think that can potentially unlock Fujimoto and kind of add this extra kind of support to Yuhi to say, look, laning phase isn't going to be an issue. Let's just get to those team fights where Sivir succeeds. Going to be against that Zeri Lulu, that scales very, very well. But with the Sivir Karma, you are at least going to get lane shove.
Yeah, going ahead and picking that bot lane early for both sides, it's really key to see, rather. As we know, we have just been bouncing back and forth, Zeri, Sivir, and so looking forward here, we mentioned we like seeing DICE on those mages and whatnot, playing the Victor, a lot of that in spring, and you know, who's been putting up reasonable performances on the Azir as well. Maybe not the peaks that we want him to do, but still very impressive nonetheless, as they're going to go and pick that one up. For Sengoku, does this kind of, you know, maybe dampen their chances a bit, you know, with this maybe resurgent form for Burning Core, if this lineup that they have today...
I'm not going to go that far yet. Burning Core coming in with the changing a support is so key to the way that you go around the map and the way that you play out your early game as well. You need Flawless and Fujimoto to be on the same page. I call that Flawless as someone that needs to get a good jungle matchup. You are going to be on blue side. I actually wouldn't mind Sengoku saving last pick for counter pick jungle. I think that could potentially work out very well for them. Sengoku are going to be banning away some of the champions, which might deal with a Gnar pretty well. Burning Core say, well, let's just get rid of the Gnar then. So now you have to look at Paz and say, what is your blind pick going to be? I'd imagine Gangplank is going to be banned as well by Burning Core. I think that'll be a good one. Again, it's just another blind pickable champion. Then the question is stuff like the Gwen. Okay, nope, Gangplank's gone. Okay. But then you still got a couple of champions like Gwen available.
No,
I feel like Sengoku want to pick top here and leave that jungle to stop Flawless having one of his more pocket pick champions be in a good position.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you did mention the Gwen. Unfortunately, that was taken off by Burning Core. So the top lane pool right now is going in completely blind of what I'm thinking this is going to be the Ray Farkey, Gragas angle. I mean, we've seen him play it multiple times before. If not that, maybe we do pick up the Sejuani. I do know she's still played a little bit of a flex. I think that was a Sejuani support.
Well, no,
earlier.
It's a flex because we saw it in support earlier today.
Yeah, as we do see it picked up right now. So by Sengoku. So I'm assuming that's going to go top for Paz. There
is sometimes Sejuani is okay in the jungle as a counterpick jungle when you know you're not really going to get invaded or whatever. I think that Burning Core at this point, like, it depends what you're really looking for. If you're looking for a strong jungle matchup, you can pick something like, hey, a Trundle is very hard to counter. You know, obviously Wukong's kind of gone, so you can't really have that as a blind pick. So that's what they're looking towards. It's not going to be one of Flawless's more out there champions, but it is almost guaranteed good individual jungle matchup.
I see Burning Core want me to be a sad panda today and just go ahead and pick the Trundle.
Oh, yeah?
All right. Well, it's going to be one of those games. I mean, I'm not mad at the pick here. I just don't know how well Flawless will be able to pilot it against Sengoku, given recent performances. Hopefully, it will be a better performance for him this time. But it is the Ornn lock-in as well, so just a lot of really good initiation for the side of Burning Core. I mean, they can make fights happen the way they want to happen, essentially, with the Ornn ultimates, with the pillars coming in, the Emperor's Divide as well, into controlling the pace.
And that terrain's all going to be very important, right? And I think what's really important here is that, well, you managed to get effect. You know, it is a good jungle match with Flawless. I think this will work out. I'm a little worried for the top side of the map. I think when you're looking into Silas Sejuani, you are until level 6 you are losing on top side of the map, and in bot side, while you might have wave push, they're not really going to help you do that much. I think Burning Core, what they're looking for with this draft is not dissimilar to what we saw from the Hawks, where you're hoping that less stuff happens. You're not looking for big fights. You're looking for wave control, maybe invading into the jungle, but not big, huge diving plays. On the other side, I think when you're looking at a Silas on Jet Silas is absolutely nuts. And when you have a Viego there too, they have the ability to skirmish a bit more. I think we're looking for pressure for Burning Core, skirmish from Sengoku.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Burning Core is going to be able to pilot this, because, like you said, like all the terrain available to them, they can control fights very well. They were looking for moments, not big, full-blown out fights. Whereas, I mean, this is a very scary lineup for Sengoku, especially how they have been playing Jet on Silas, once on Viego. There's going to be a lot of pop-off moments in this game if it gets bloody. Hopefully, it's going to be bloody and not a little repeat of what we had last game for Game 3, as we are waiting for everything to get loaded into the Rift. Oh, man. All right. So,
I mean, if it's going to get bloody, it's going to be on Sengoku, right? I think that they have the tools to start the fights earlier on into the game in terms of smaller fights. We talked about top side when you have Viego, Silas, even Sejuani began to join the fight and throw an Ignite into the mix too, as that champion tends to bring that summoner spell with them. That's where I'm looking for from Sengoku. If it's going to be bloody, I think it has to be them that starts off. On the other side, Burning Core, they're looking for just this slowly incrementing, building amount of pressure where they're pushing you in. They're using the Trundle to secure that wave push and trying to stop those aggressive Viego Silas players when they come. They're looking for lanes first and then trying to maybe group up around those objectives. Sengoku, like we said, they're the ones who really want to be, if anything, the aggressors.
Yeah. Burning Core on blue. Dice and Yuhi deciding to play Bring Your Daughter to Work Day with the Azir Sivir.
That's a great line. I love that. I love that so much. I've never heard that one before.
Thank you. I realized it as soon as I saw the final lock-in. So I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on here. That was a really cool in-game lore event, by the way. Like, for those that actually played it, that was really dope. I loved it.
Wait, when did that event happen? When was that one?
When were they released?
I mean, Shurima was released season 5, but so Azir was released season 5, but I didn't think there was like a big event around. I remember there was a cinematic, but I couldn't.
Yeah, they had the cinematic. They just released a lot of lore drops. I think that's when Riot was deciding to really deepen the lore and reshape the world.
I don't think there was a Shuriman event. There was the lore, because that was when season 5 was also when the Harrowing happened. That was a great event. So when Gangplank was around, we had like Lucian and Misfortune get a lot of story for the first time in a while, because that's where remember at that time we didn't know anything about Senna, because Senna came out in season 10, but Lucian and Thresh had started to get a little bit more lore to them. It's not something that we've seen for a little while.
The creative department was going ham with the stories.
And speaking of going a little bit ham, we normally expect actually a little bit more aggression from something like a Sivir Karma. What they're trying to do, stack up the wave. I actually think they've made a little bit of a mistake in the wave control, because what you're meant to do is not push quite that hard. You're meant to be stacking up a couple of waves and then waiting for your jungler to come down and then do something while your jungler is on that side of the map, because you're either free to dive or to go into the enemy bot side or do something like that. What's happened now is that your pushing lane in this bot side isn't going to achieve a huge amount. You've gone for the cult anyway. I wonder if this is not the perfect jungle pathing to match with what you want to do. Flo's going to spot out that ward. Sweeper's not going to be there in time, though, so that's going to time out. Oh, can you get the auto reset?
Can you get it?
It's going to be close.
Boom, boom, bam.
Oh,
hey,
just about.
There it is, Flawless. Okay. I think he's put enough time on the champion now to get that down. But yeah, very good for him to grab that information, and you see Once just going to be on top side taking his reds and whatnot. But yeah, like you said, Yuhi Fuji jump in just a little bit.
I don't necessarily mind one or the other, right? Because you have a cull on your Civic, you want to be safely farming and just safely pushing in. What they did manage to do is push in and get a ward. They know what's happened with this bot side, right? But if you're playing around bot side, because as we said, top side is not really where your pressure comes from in this Burning Core draft. I would have liked to see more of like typical LPL macro where you, when you have pushing 2v2, you end up like playing towards getting an enemy jungle camp steal, getting the enemy bot lane zoned off of their tower. And while these two are doing well in a 2v2 sense, I feel like more could have been achieved if Flawless had been on the same page as his bot lane to make sure they could make use of that 2v2 early push.
Okay, yeah, definitely seeing what you mean there in that regard. But yeah, it's this is an interesting map state, I feel. God, there's already a lot more champion interaction in this game in the first 4 minutes than like the entirety of the 10 minutes of the previous game. So that's really dope to see. Really love that Dice is Jet pressuring Jet a bit. You saw how low he chunked him under tower. I mean, I believe that's just the nature early of the matchup before, you know, Silas gets
also when so that's a little bit of a red herring, so I agree. Azir very much can do a lot of damage, stuff like that, but Jet was looking for the reset and to teleport back into lane. So you use your HP as a resource, you get all the farm you can, because most of the time early laning phase, so Zed players will know this if you play stuff like Kiana as well, you don't really want to trade a skill for one CS. You don't want to be sitting there like, oh, I'll get a last hit, but I have to take like a LeBlanc QW or something like that, right? So when you get to reset, that's the one time you do that. It's like, well, I'm recalling anyway. It doesn't actually matter.
Doesn't actually matter
so
too much. Yeah.
Use the last of the HP as a resource. See how much HP as a resource can be used here, though.
Who's acting first? NT's the target here. You're gonna flash forward onto him. Ignite is down. NT might tick away. Yes, the last tick will give it the credit over to Fujimoto. Sub back in, already doing big things. But can the rest of Burning Core get out in time? You see, Jet is meandering down, but they're not going to continue the chase. And really good collapse. I love how long Flawless sat there in the bush to make that work. Perfect timing with the pillar, got the ignite down as well. And yeah, that's first blood going over to Burning Core.
And it's a bit of a misstep from Sengoku, jetting so much damage, paying him back for that trade on the turret, I guess. But Flawless, when he does that, and again, we talked about Flawless being a big litmus test for Burning Core. We knew this jungle matchup would be important between these two teams, but speaking of how long he sat here, it wasn't the hugest amount of time. And most importantly, he doesn't have camps really that available to take. He's got Grump up right now, but he's not losing anything, right? Most of his camps are down. He's not losing anything. He channels his recall. If nothing happens, he gets to go back out onto the map. But just as he's going through it, he realizes, actually, this is what we could do. And the last Ricochet does just enough damage to bring him down into the Ignite tick range. And this, the Viego, while they're ready to fight, ready to start some plays, not there at the right timing in the right place to turn it around.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to chase down a Karma team early, you know, just get the monster-empowered E, so they can speed out of there. So Burning Core getting away with a very crafty play as it's looking, I mean, like, that could have gone wrong, you know. There was an angle where Once could have gotten behind and actually, you know, short up some kills, but very good, like I said, very good job for Burning Core to actually get away from all of that.
So, this isn't alien to Sengoku. Ult committed from Paz. Ignite committed from Paz.
Yo, the Smithy ult into the Ignite. I love that. But Oran's a tanky boy. He eats his weed.
Wait, no, he hit that ult, right? That was a hit.
No. Oh, man. Wait. Can he survive this? No way. Oh, wow. That was too close for comfort. Ray Farkey almost made that 2v1 happen in his favor, but they will get an answer back onto that.
We said Sengoku had tools to make plays happen in the top side early. It takes them a little while to get that, but they're past the level 6 mark. They managed to get the heavy damage trade from Sejuani. Of course, Sejuani, most of her damage comes from hitting that permafrost, that stun, and then proccing it with the auto. But if you cast your ult after you've done that, you get basically 2 in a row. You don't get to do it the other way around, because if like you hit your ult first, it kind of locks out an internal cooldown. So Paz gets 2 trades of that. Ray Farkey gets away, but isn't high enough HP to survive Once. Now, that's going to be Ornn losing a wave, losing a plate, and Once is on the board in terms of an assist too. So, Sengoku use some of their resources available to them to even up this early game in terms of gold. Before that, they had fallen a little bit behind. Sengoku have not been the cleanest early on. Earlier into the split, they had found more consistency in their early games. They've typically had to find their way back around team fights as the game goes on, but this game giving a bit of a counter punch early on.
For sure. And yeah, but man, that was real close for Ray Fark. He had, like you said, he wasn't high enough HP to survive that dive. Had he been just a little bit more and that Ornn ulti connected, that might have been what's going down. But they will capitalize on this by starting this Herald. Paz will try to control more down just to get some vision on. But unfortunately for him, once he's in the bot side.
Yeah, and
unfortunately for
somehow
him,
20
but,
CS down, a level down. He's under turret, he has both summoners, but this is a dead Civet.
Hit 6 immediately decides to burn the ultimate, interestingly enough. Okay, the kill credit will go over to once, and yeah, just bad timing. I didn't even notice that he was down that much CS.
Well, I mean, what the hell happened in bot lane? I mean, I've been watching other areas of the map, but I mean, one of the things about Civic Karma is that it makes your laning phase so f***ing easy. You are not meant to be behind at this point. Against Azeri Lulu, sure, you think, okay, you're not going to deny them from CS, but you were shoving in. You got to play. You had a play down bot side too, and you managed to get a kill onto the support. There is no reason why this should be at that kind of loss. An individual laning weakness has led to this bot lane giving up another kill, and that is now a huge problem for Burning Core. Sivir is central to their team composition.
Yeah, that was interesting. We should have paid more attention to bot lane, I suppose, because wow, the actual difference right now, Vital is styling all over Yuhi, and that was, yeah, like we had said, the Sivir is vital to this composition, names aside.
Yes, just... Vital is vital to Sengoku. We are very clever here.
It just spins a roulette, whatever it lands on, it just works.
Yeah.
But Burning Core better spin that roulette faster to make something up, because they're starting to fall behind here, and Vital can be a very key point for Sengoku to start pulling ahead more. As you know, he's already ramped up. Jet's starting to ramp up. It's gonna get pretty scary. We do have Ocean Drake spawning here in about 20 seconds or so. The way the map state is shaping up, I want to say Sengoku are just going to go ahead and go for this.
So it depends what's going to happen with the Herald. So you see that Flawless down bot side. I kind of figured this would go towards bot side anyway.
Yeah.
You're basically always going to be able to hit that into turret. Sengoku don't have the return threat right now to stop this. So Herald, this is a good Herald. How much do they get from it though? They're not going to finish off the turret. So that's all it's going to be is a bit of gold. And what Vital has been doing very well is make sure these are picking up every bit of CS under the turret. Burning Core get themselves a bit of pressure. Again, that's what we said that they'd be playing towards. Not necessarily big dive plays, but just incrementally building up wave shove into some kind of advantage. This is something. It's just not been enough on top of this early game because of, sadly, Yuhi struggling to lane versus Vital in terms of just hitting minions. Unfortunately,
yeah, the basic building blocks of League of Legends not really found on Yuhi right now, as they had the inside track. They did get a decent amount of damage onto that tower from that Herald play, but muscled off of Dragon. As Sengoku, they have this entire bottom quadrant of the map just very much in their wheelhouses. Once diving over the side, will chunk out Dice considerably, just jumping in to scare him right there. But
I think what he was hoping was see if he could get like a panic ult out of this, because if you just burn flash, burn ult, because Dragon's coming up at this point. Still, you take half the HP, that's fine. That means that your Azir is not really in a position to fight at this point. And when you have, Flawless is still looking to contest. And because Jet's not here, it actually doesn't matter about the chunk in the mid lane. Burning Core managed to force Sengoku away from the Dragon.
Okay, interesting start-stop. A little bit of a dragon dance here. Unfortunately, none of these are Garchomp, so it's not too scary. As we do see them still hovering. They're still hovering. They're still taking so much time around this bottom side of the map. I mean,
and they can do this, right? Because they still have wave control. They still get to shove in, even if they're not actually getting the last hits. They're getting the wave into the turret.
Oh, is he going around?
Back to the mid lane. This is going to be nasty.
This has to be it. He does have flash and ult available, but it's no avail. Dice going to get destroyed, deleted immediately, as now the aggression is on from Sengoku. Yuhi having to burn the Sivir ulti, but Vital, he's going to put down massive numbers, and they're just completely forcing Burning Core off the map just so they can take this dragon, just so they can get some more kills in their pocket, and Sengoku showing some muscle.
Yeah, and this is why, again, I really wanted to talk about jungle matchup leading into this one, because it felt like Flawless, maybe he had himself an ability to play the aggressive jungle matchup, but once has been outside of Steel, the guy that is going to run you through early. And he gets around vision here. This is the second attempt. And he just comes out of nowhere and just slaps Dice with the Spectral Wall. He lands that W. This is like really high range as well. That's pretty much on the end of it. That doesn't hit. Dice probably gets out with a flash. It's not a kill. It doesn't lead to that much. Once pinpoint accuracy on the skill shot leads to a kill for Sengoku.
Yeah, and it's textbook want stuff, like you said. The man is so good at getting around and just making stuff happen. He's the extrovert friend of the party that like goes crazy whenever you can literally sees any instance to, and that's going to result in another kill for Sengoku rather, but will resort in first turret going over to Burning Core as they finally crack that egg that is the bottom tower after many attempts to go to put pressure down there. So trying to get Yuhi back into this game. He's still considerably down in CS. Items down a little bit too. He doesn't have his first set of boots completed, but
he has popped his cull, and that helps, right? So now, I mean, you can talk about minutiae. We've talked about that a little bit before. Basically, what it's led to is, Yuhi being a little further behind the curve than you would really like. And with Vital picking up an assist to kind of match parity with Yuhi, he's feeling very, very happy. Now, on the whole, I do feel like Sivir is better than Zeri in the meta right now. In terms of if you're both hitting targets all the time, then Sivir is going to do more work than Zeri. The thing about Zeri is that it's more likely that she gets to hit those targets. We saw that in the first game of the day, right? When it was Axe is trying to play around the Sivir and was like, well, actually, I can't hit the target. Then Hybrid on CJ was like, well, I'm Zeri. I actually have much longer range than you. I'm Zeri. I'm going to do Zeri things. Now, Vital. Been moved into mid lane duty. When the bot lane turret falls, you often do see the bot lanes moving around the map. And once.
Ooh. Okay, burns the ult. Burns the ult, gets away. Good thing you can do that on Viego. Doesn't have to burn the flash. Herald number 2 will be started by Burning Core. And there's going to be 2 for 2 on Heralds, I believe, unless Sengoku does want to start this party.
What's happening? Once doesn't have an easy way into the pit. Looking like we're setting up for this, but big team fight coming from Burning Core.
Rayfarky going to burn the Ornn ulti. Oh, they're on the Paz. They're going to take him down. Dice gets that kill credit. This fight has started. Jet on the backside, trying to get as much damage as possible. Tries to flash out, but ooh, Wild Growth will not save him enough, and that's a double for Dice as Burning Core is on the run, though. Sengoku looking better with a life lead, even though it is a 3v5 situation.
Yeah, and Sengoku, they commit to a fight when they know the Ornn ult is coming towards you. You know you're fighting basically down the throats of what Burning Core's composition wants to do. You're going straight down the middle, and it's a charge of the Light Brigade for them. They try and go in. They end up losing the Herald, losing 2 kills. And for all of the hard work that Sengoku did in the early game, through their laning phase, they take an ill-advised fight, and they get punished for it.
Yeah, I mean, luckily they were able to stave off the capture of the Rift.
Yeah.
Well, no. Did Flawless get it? Okay, yeah. In the replay,
yeah, Flawless gets it. But like, looking at this
Okay.
fight, right, I love how Rayfarky positions in this one. Like, he gets an ult which just says, if you go through here, you're in trouble. And they go through there, and they're in trouble. And because that works out so well and stops Sengoku from committing so much, the rest of the disengage potential from a Sivir ult, from Karma ult, from the Azir ult too, that's enough after that point. I really think that Rayfarky does the lion's share of the work in making sure that Sengoku can't find a good angle in that fight.
NT pulling the El Clasico, Warden Bush, Lulu Q, just, hey man, I see you there. But yeah, just really great positioning from Rayfarky in that last fight. Just you don't want to fight Warren in those chokes ever, and the way they were able to funnel them down was so clean.
Now, if you do that at 2-3 items, you probably lose the fight, because Jet did get into the backline, because Jet has been so good at doing that, especially on champions like the Silas. He has kind of been picking up the mantle from what Arya used to do, and, I have to mention him a certain amount of times per broadcast. I haven't been doing it enough so far, but
it's in the contract.
When you're on this champion, you want to make sure you're getting into the backline and threatening a carry. Did end up doing that. You just don't have enough items at this point of the game.
Yeah.
If Sengoku take that fight at the similar kind of gold advantages in 10 minutes, in 15 minutes, that is a 1 fight for them. As it stands, though, they've lost a couple of fights. They've lost vision control across the side. It means that they're not ready yet to respond to Burning Core's group up and fight kind of composition. So they trade the mid outer turret for the top outer turrets. The map is starting to open up. We're getting first towers taken by Sengoku. Of course, the bot lane turret was taken by Burning Core for the first tower of the game. And now this opens up a lot of extra things. Burning Core, you've been able to push, and you've been able to group up.
No, they're not.
Can you do that when all the towers are down?
Okay, speedy boy, flawless going in, does eat the Sejuani ultimate, or ultimate does go down too. TP on the backside.
Jet's coming in.
Burning Core trying to start a fight, but baby, I don't think they want to try and finish it, as this is Sengoku coming in. Jet did steal the Ornn ulti, lands onto 2, but under tower there is no follow-up. I say that as Rayfaki charging straight in. Yuhi gets a boomerang blade on the backside to claim a kill, but Vital is marching forward, has the shield bow, all the lifesteal in the world to work with, but once again, Burning Core starting the fight, picking something off, and then getting away. That's that speed up power of the Karma Sivers showing in spades.
But the thing is, Sengoku didn't have to lose that fight. They committed to it.
Correct.
2 fights in a row where Sengoku have chosen to take the fight before they are ready for it. Burning Core, they're not actually being pushed around that much. They're getting into position. All 5 members stood behind each other. And once again, Rayfaki doing some serious work. Last time we saw that big ultimate kind of separating off the team. It's less about the ultimate this time, right? Because with Paz trading ults, you're getting enough disengage. The slow field after the ultimate pops is actually more important than the actual stun itself at that point. Right. But look at this. Rayfaki just puts down the Q, makes sure it's there, and Jet overstays. That knockup just stunts the engage from Sengoku. Yuhi's actually doing enough work on Sivir right now to make it work. It gets close because he overstays into Vital's damage. If you do, again, you do that 10 minutes later, Vital kills you, Jet kills you. But right now, feels like Sengoku are not at the right point in time to take those fights.
Yeah, and unfortunately though for Burning Core, they once again take another big fight like that, but all of their members are so worse for wear when it comes to the life lead that Sengoku were able to turn it into an objective. That's 3 dragons back to back to back for them off of these fights, even though Burning Core, you know, they are advantageous in that current moment. Like you said, had this been another item down the road in the pockets for any of the other members, that might not have been Burning Core getting away with 80 members alive, but Sengoku able to, you know, make something out of nothing in those instances is still very key for them.
When because we have to put this back into context, right? Because the last couple of fights have gone Burning Core's way, and we said, look, if Sengoku, if they're even later into the game, those fights actually work out for them. Now, most of the time, when you lose those kind of fights too early into the game, you end up falling behind. It's not actually happened. Gold is still there for Sengoku, partly because look at that CS discrepancy between 80 carries. Vital has been farming, ladies and gentlemen. And now that means that you are on Soul Point. You have good farm. And actually, even though you've lost a couple of fights, and that's a feel-good moment from Burning Core, in another game against a better team where you take those fights and you get punished for it, you fall behind, Sengoku are not in that position. And again, we've come to really expect this a little bit from Sengoku. They're not always clean in the early game. Sometimes they do need to come back in the late game to team fight back. This looks like that could happen again this game. Just setting the expectations. Next 10 minutes, Sengoku, if they start taking those fights again, they're still within a much more reasonable gold advantage and gold, or rather gold parity, I suppose, to take those fights again.
Right, yeah. I'm hoping that it doesn't get to that point where Sengoku's like, all right, we can just begrudgingly endure this out and make that comeback, because the gold state is, yeah, relatively even.
No, they just need to do what they're doing, just in like 5-10 minutes.
Right, yeah, just same thing, just a little bit down the road. Jet, you can't be missing those, as Dice is trying to get away as best he can. Flash, he didn't need to flash there, as Once is going to go ahead and claim his head for the mantle.
There you go. Once finding something on the side lane, and Burning Core, they've been kind of winning in the grouped up fights. That's good. We haven't really talked about the split map yet. When you trade these out to turrets, this is something which we, just before that last big fight happened, we were starting to question actually, okay, towers are starting to fall. Can Burning Core start playing this grouped up style when they start losing vision, when they have to go to respond to side lanes? And the answer is actually, they have a couple of issues in it. Dice blows ult, blows flash, gives up a kill. Sengoku finding an advantage for relatively low effort. Now Burning Core, for all of the victories that they had in small moments in early game in some of those fights, are starting to fall behind to this oppressive skirmish nature of Sengoku.
Right, and they're just really... I feel like Burning Core is just trying to wait. They're trying to CS. They're trying to grab stuff as much as they can because they want to fight on a more even ground, I would say. Because, once again, not to, beat a dead horse as it goes, but Yuhi versus Vital, this matchup has not been going the way you would think it would have been, given statistics and whatnot, and just the disparity between them CS-wise, the amount of agency that Vital will be able to have here in these next coming minutes is just something to really think about in the back pocket. Is Yuhi probably won't be able to even get an auto win. He'll just have to be too busy dodging, if anything, even trying to stay alive.
It depends how Sengoku go about their fight, right? Because if it is Jet coming through again, or someone going in first, but they're within ricochet distance, then that's still damage, right? I mean, that's the difficulty of playing against New Civ, especially with the ricochet distance being increased.
Wow.
We do see that Yuhi still has enough gold, right? Because he's managed to get he managed to get a lot of plates. The full first 5 plates were on bot lane, went over to Yuhi, first tower local gold. It's just a shame that the CS hasn't meant that this isn't actually just parity. This should be a 1,000, 1,500 advantage to Yuhi.
Ooh.
It's not going to end up like that. But if Yuhi does get to sit there, gets to auto on someone like Jet or Once or Paz that's made their way into the fight to without
on the backside,
that's still going to be okay.
Yeah. And looking at this is the 4th. This is Soul Point. Paz on the backside. He is completely unnoticed here. This is looking like an interesting angle. Okay, so no fight to be started, but Paz playing solid Snake cosplay right now, able to get a lot of info as we do see Burning Core giving their best NAA RAM impression and just kind of pushing down mid.
So you don't want to play against choke points against this comp. If you get Sejuani ulted in that choke point and Vital starts doing stuff, things get very, very difficult. So you're looking for mid priority, but Sengoku, call the bluff, go towards that Baron. They don't care about giving over one measly Cloud Drake. They can threaten this trade, but because they're not able to finish it off, all it's doing is delaying the objective trade. Now, you've got bot lane recalling from Sengoku. They get to get an extra crit cloak on Zeri. And while this is happening, Burning Core haven't managed to find a space to get towards that dragon. The objective trade is still on the table.
Yeah, objective trade is still there. Very good job on them delaying anything from being taken. But I feel like Sengoku is just kind of leading them around the map right now. You know, they're kind of playing Ring Around the Rosie as Burning Core do have the inside track onto this Cloud Drake.
I want to see...
Like you said, Sengoku don't have to give that.
Yeah, I don't want to see. Yeah, how long was this ult going to last? They're not actually going to get anything else. The call I like to call that one the call of the forgery god, because it's been stolen.
Okay.
I was actually wondering if there was an angle there, but Sengoku, they go for this like gambit, trying to say, all right, if you slip up, if you're not quick enough, and you don't realize we're doing this quick enough, we can get something for free. We can get that Baron. We can force you into a fight which you don't want to take. But as it happens, they kind of take a swing and a miss, and for once, Sengoku don't end up taking the fight before they are ready. So that is something at least.
Interesting. Okay, so a little bit of a change there. Man, this has been a really close game. Like, I want to say from the outset, in all honesty, just with how both of these teams have been playing, and I think that's a really good thing. That's both a really good thing to see for a Burning Core standpoint, but also a tiny little bit of a worrying trend from Sengoku as they are approaching here the 25-minute mark. Yeah, just a minor 2,000 gold lead for Sengoku right now. It doesn't feel like it's that large of a difference, and most of it I feel is coming from the pockets of Vital.
Now Vital almost at those 3 items, and that is going to be so dangerous to see. I mean, of course, it's matched on the other side by Yuhi for now. We talked enough about these AD carries. AD carries are going to be doing an awful lot of damage this game. So I think we are now at the point where Sengoku, if they take another fight in the way that they were doing early on, can kill those carries with one flank from Jet, who's got himself a Shadow Flame. He's definitely going towards burst damage, less about surviving through to a second W with something like a Zhonya's or a Cosmic Drive, where you can try and just heal drain through the enemy front line. You're looking to get onto your target and absolutely mash them. Watch for Jet to do that. Once, similar kind of aggressive mindset from this point in terms of the Blade the Ruin King. Of course, it's not going to be something like a Sunderer going towards the Frostfire, a bit more staying power, but either way, look at this mid-jungle, see if they can get themselves a flank, see what they can do to Burning Core when they start to group up again. I think it is on Sengoku to pull the trigger on Burning Core. I'm not sure Burning Core are at the same risk when they start diving in.
Right. Double Frostfire for Sengoku. Lots of area slowing for them as well. It's just so, like, we want Burning Core to be able to control the fight, or they want to be able to control the area. They want to be able to control the fight terrain, you know, with the Trundle Pillar, with the Ornn stump, using that. It's using the speed that Fujimoto is able to provide. Fujimoto, however, has been playing really well. First game back since spring playoffs. Honestly, he has been playing very well this game. It's currently deathless, so that's very impressive in my opinion, with how scrappy this game has been.
Civic Karma is like the ultimate speed up. Woo! It's very easy, very cookie cutter. It's definitely a bit more of a... It's a bit easier to kind of play it in terms of your role within the team. We talked about that with V3 a little, right? In terms of and actually the Hawks talked about it a little bit with them too. In terms of sometimes you want to go into a game and say, let's give you an easy job. Let's make sure you're only worrying about certain things. And the Karma in this game was meant to get wave shove and meant to group up and help the team. That's what they've ended up doing, and Fujimoto has been doing absolutely fine at that. You don't have to be the person making a flash hook on Pike, Blitzcrank,
Yeah.
or something like that, right?
For sure. I was just highlighting for how scrappy this game has been.
Yes.
It's really impressive that Fujimoto has not actually died in these fights, being on the Karma, as squishy as they are, the little bean. But it's been really dope to see him, come back. Like I said, first game since playoffs, and he's just in here.
Ray Fox just used the
oh
E.
no.
Oh,
Okay.
just missed
Jet,
out on the
what's
spacing.
this?
Almost got the second ult.
Unfortunately, he's going up against Ornn, the mage assassin, tank, marksman extraordinaire himself.
And also, if you go for the Shadow Flame, you want to be hitting backline. This is one of these things where if you are building particularly an AP assassin champion, you want to be itemizing for the target you're hitting. If you want it to hit on, you want a Cosmic Drive. You want extra cooldown to get loads of extra damage, like in terms of extended trades. This is not what Jet has currently built towards. He's built to hit the Azir, built to hit that Sivir, and kill them outright. That's not necessarily going to be the case. So when he goes up against the Ornn in the side, you can actually see the Ornn's doing a decent job in the 1v1.
Right, and that's, like you said, the itemization is very key there, and it's going to be difficult with Ray Farkey. I mean, once Falls completes another item, I believe he's going for Randuin's.
Sorry, who are you talking about? Is this Flawless or Ray Farkey?
Flawless.
Yes, if that's the Warden spell, that will almost certainly be going
yeah.
into that Randros. Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, two extremely tanky members on the side of Burning Core can make things extremely difficult for Sengoku, especially as...
You also have the Trundle and Steal Sejuani stats.
Exactly.
So he's up in the wrong spot. That's going to be a very difficult conversation to be having in terms of, oh crap, we've got to deal with two massive tanks, and that's why Vital has, of course, gone towards that Lord Dominic's Regards third. Now, Burning Core, they've grouped up. This is what they want to do. Sengoku, remember what we were saying. If they manage to get the flank, this can work for them.
This could work for them, yeah, but the Speedians from Burning Core, they're trying to kite upwards the best they can. Jet is here, has done stolen the Trundle ultimate, does get it onto Ray Farkey, as Flawless does get set up on the side. The Ornn ultimate comes down, the fight is on. Jet forced into stasis, Paz on the side, not able to do a damn thing as they are being pushed off. Sengoku wanted to start this fight, but look on the side once, does get seen, does get spotted. Burning Core grouping as a group of 5 in this bush, they're trying to recall together. This is the cheekiest thing I've ever seen.
They managed to stop some recalls. They're teleporting back in, and once is full HP. What can they do with this?
Oh, Ray Farkey is very low. That's your big tank. Jet steals the ultimate. Forgery God comes out. Ray Farkey's still alive, just barely managed to flash out, but will be called in the end. All fighting under this turret. Burning Core hugging to it like they're trying to cling to their mom at an amusement park as once drives in, gets a double kill on his, makes that a triple. Baby, give him the quadra as he is going to completely decimate, tear through all of Burning Core. They survived for as long as they could, but it was not enough because Sengoku are going to take the fight, and they're going to
that is a certified Viego moment. Once manages to stop those recalls hanging around that side. Jet manages to steal a second ultimate in that fight, and Sengoku, in a way we have come to expect from them, find a way to just outplay in the late game. First start of this fight is not easy for them, though. We were saying, okay, look, Burning Core, they've grouped up. Sengoku, if they find fights like they did earlier into the game, this can be very, very dangerous for them. It's not as easy for them this time, though. I mean, Jet is not hitting the backline. He's hitting Ray Farkey, and well, that's okay. But you can see what happens when you're hitting a front line when this Sivir and Azir, the bring your daughter to work combo, can start doing damage. What really happens after this point, though, is just the ability for Sengoku to realize they can stop backs and reforge this fight, go straight back into it. Because then, actually, after Jets uses HP bar, it's not like Sengoku don't have other people that can go into the fray. Once, and Paz managed to really make a meal of this fight.
The just reset after reset after reset. You said it yourself, certified Viego moment. Doing his best Pike cosplay while stealing other people's. It's just... Look at that. Oh, man. It was such a long, extended fight. Like, you see the damage graph, but it was just all Sengoku just playing in and out, in and out, in and out. And it was just, like you said, them being able to find these fights later in the game, being able to make their moments matter the most. And off of the back of that, they took that last Cloud Dragon to give them that Cloud Soul. So Sengoku really poised to close this one out here. All they got to do is just keep up that momentum that they've grabbed.
So... Baron buff. This means that your wave clear of the Sivir is going to be neutered a little bit. It's not like you can't just clear minions. Of course, Sivir can absolutely do that between Sivir and Azir. But it still means that you're not pushing out on the map. You don't get that control of the map. And maybe Sengoku can finally try and start breaking down some of these towers. I'm actually wondering, how much Burning Core can do. Of course, you've got a Cloud Soul on the other side from Sengoku. It might actually take an Elder to close out this game. Burning Core team comp is very happy to turtle and keep things rolling. But Sengoku, they're in position to potentially force something should someone show away from the main group.
Yeah, Ben, just to talk about it again, because it's my favorite thing in this game. Vital, 100 up on Yuhi now.
Almost that Flame Horizon, just a couple of CS up, yeah.
It's beautiful. Love to see it. Love to see it.
And now he's obviously got himself a 4th item. He has an Infinity Edge. This area is going to start cracking skulls. Has already been doing decent damage, but now at this point has so much damage. And Burning Core, remember how important this game is for them. For Sengoku, it is keeping them at the top of the table, for sure. Burning Core, potentially keeping themselves in playoffs. It's them and Axis. It's between those two right now. Sat on those 5 wins, and Axis lost earlier in the day, of course. Burning Core, they're a team which came back from a slump last year. They got themselves into a decent spot in spring. We thought they'd managed to revive as an organization. They thought that maybe last year was just a flash in the pan in the wrong direction. But this game, they'd have to hold on. They have to try and find a way to wave clear, find themselves into a Death Ball team comp win. It's not going to be easy for them, as Sengoku have been showing their late game prowess.
Yeah, this all-important game for Burning Core. Everything counts from here on out. Luckily, they do have a lot of wave clear. If there's one thing I know Siver's good at, I believe even after the changes, he's still good at wave clearing. So that is something they want to keep in their back pocket, as well as, with Azir. It's just they can't. My biggest gripe with their team fights this game is that they keep grouping into a barrel. Like they spread out and then they just cluster.
You have to spread, because you need the Karma to get max value. You need to make sure that the Trundle Pillar and the Azira doing maximum work for the rest of their team. This is a group and fight composition. Now, I think they've given Sengoku some problems with that, right? Because you can see that if Jet's not hitting the backline, things get a little bit difficult. But you're right, Burning Core haven't managed to find their big wins themselves. They're not ever since that early game where they were getting some micro wins around the Heralds, but there are no Heralds left, and of course the Baron's already gone down. They're going to be struggling now to really open up the map again and take control of things.
Yeah, and Sengoku able to balloon that to a 10,000 gold lead, 10,000k gold lead off of those last few fights and those extended trades, and getting every single objective on the map in their favor. Burning Core really having to, dig deep in that bag to get an answer on how they're going to be able to pull this one off and get a victory on their side. Baron spawning in about 135-ish. Elder might be looking like, the definitive answer for them to get that in that fight.
I agree with that. I think that Elder at this point is probably what Sengoku are going to use to end the game, because at that point, even if you group up as 5 people, you're looking at the point where you can start just mashing through people. I mean, when you've got a Cloud Soul, it's not awesome for ending team fights, and Burning Core, it's not the kind of thing where like you're going to instantly pop someone with an Infernal Soul or be that much more bold on the dive of the mountain. Because Burning Core are always grouping, it makes it much harder to really utilize the Cloud Soul and catch someone out of position.
Flawless. Well, speaking of caught out of position, Flawless burning down real fast is woof, that is a speedy Sengoku team right there.
But it's just at the wrong timing. Just at the wrong timing. Baron's not spawned. Elder's not spawned. You don't get to take like a game-ending objective at this point. So Sengoku, take the chunk, take the flash. It's all they're going to get from it. That's kind of sad, actually. I feel like that happens a minute later. You potentially have yourself a huge victory on your hands.
For sure. Very impressive wall flash by Fujimoto, clearing that entire cliff. That was dope. But like I thought he was gonna die there, but Flawless was the one being left behind. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Let's see if he can. Don't think he can repeat that. Once again, Paz is loving this bush. I think that's gonna be the new time. The Paz bush. He jumps in, says running. Oh, is there? That's the kills that they wanted to get. Fujimoto, no way to survive this time. No flash, no problem. As Vital is popping off, does get the double kill. Look how chunked low Sengoku is. There are only 3 members left of Burning Core, but it's not necessarily the core that can get everything done, as Ray Farkey is on the run from multiple members, gets the blast code jetted back into the rest of the team, but he's a bulky boy. He can walk it out for now. Yeah. Sengoku looking for Baron number 2.
Well, no, I mean, the jungler's down. You don't have your Karma. You can't fight without those 2 members. That's going to be at least a Baron down. Jet has damage. Is he going for a 1v2?
Oh, my God. He pulled the trigger on the Ornn ulti. He's trying to go for something. Yeah, the man just wants to buy as much time as he can. Maybe get some kills under his belt. but I feel like that was just him playing the gatekeeper.
But what that does there, it stops Burning Core pushing mid as quickly. You have to do it on the next wave rather than the one which they're trying to push. And what that means is now that Sengoku get the back from Baron, go towards Elder, get both buffs on them, and that huge pick around the mid lane is probably going to be the play which seals the game.
I want to rename that top bush on blue side red, the pass bush, because that man has been there three separate times.
He owns it right now.
And he just keeps making these plays from the bush. Sejuani ult goes out once again. Burning Core opting in to try and make a recovery fight, but on the back side of that, Sengoku, they just do so much damage. Vital is so far ahead now. It's ridiculous as they're trying to go into this Elder fight.
And Burning Core, they've managed to recover a little bit. I mean, you've got the at least you've got the Honey Fruit, which is very important for Jet, and he can start playmaking again after this point. But I thought that Sengoku would be able to get a clean reset into an Elder take. That's not been the case. Burning Core have everyone on the same place again.
Oh no, he's going in. Jet dives in, but gets the lead in after he takes out Fujimoto. It's a split fight on multiple fronts. Sengoku trying to fight through all of this. Burning Core trying to make something happen. Yuki having to go into stasis and leaving Dice to die, but that is the full ace. Cloud Soul Baron on the table as well. Full ace for Sengoku as they are marching downwards through the middle for that victory.
There we go. Sengoku going to keep up with the first place Burning Core. It was a valiant effort. They gave themselves a decent chance. Won little bits in the early game, but individually overcome, team fighting, overcome. Sengoku, the better team on the day.
Absolutely. They just did everything they needed to. They got the gold onto their major carries, and this is going to be another major win in the cap for Sengoku as they look to close out Game 4 on a high note.
Couple of questions for them, of course. They ended up fighting a couple of times early, maybe before they had the right items to do so. But the playmaking is still there. Sengoku showing us why, of course, they are one of our very top teams tied at that first place. But, you know, looking between Sengoku and DFM today, DFM came out of that loss versus Sengoku in a bit of an enraged state, and Sengoku showing some, maybe some chinks in the armor. I wonder whether these two meet again, who would be really coming out on top there.
I mean, I felt like today was that game that kind of needed to, quote unquote, legitimize that win that happened yesterday, as controversial as it had been. But Sengoku really showing up today, I would say. Kaiser
Lexi's muted, so we actually can't hear him right now. That's not very helpful. But he's here.
He is here. Yeah.
I would say, actually, Crow, I was greatly disappointed with Sengoku in their performance today. A 38-minute game from a tied, or arguably, actually, the first-place team of the LJL. This isn't what I expected from them. I was expecting a lot more, and while you can argue that they had Karma Siva to disengage, this wasn't how they were playing. They were playing very messy team fights. And Chris, can we get that first clip in? Because I think this, honestly, is what I would like to highlight. Because when it came to team fighting, Burning Core just seemed to, a lot of the time, have the edge sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's partly due to the composition, right? When Burning Core get all five people stacked up and you get AoE Karma Shields, you're like, okay, diving into that sounds kind of awkward at this point. I think that a lot of my issues with what Sengoku were doing was actually more about on their early game, because this is just not the right time to be fighting. Like at this point, 5v5 is not good. I think you can fight in 2v2's topside, mid jungle, 3v3's topside. That's awesome. But when you get 5v5s with the Karma adding so much value early into the game, you're not winning that. You're outvalued. If this happens, as we said this so many times during this game, if this happens 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, it works out a lot better. And at the end of the day, that's pretty much what happened. But for me, for Sengoku to just kind of say, oh, we'll just beat them and then not calculate it right, that does worry me a little bit. I think you're right.
Crow, what's your thought on that?
No, I'd have to agree. It was just very evident that the composition that Sengoku had was just better at, getting those elongated fights, better at getting those spread out fights. And time after time, even though Burning Core were able to survive, they were limping away from a lot of those fights. And we got that second monstrous moment where we had once get a quadra kill, just doing, Viego things.
Certified Viego moment.
Certified
Can we maybe pull up that clip? Maybe.
Absolutely.
Look at this movie magic here.
Because, you see once again Burning Core backed into a corner, all retreating. I think it was hilarious that they all tried to recall in this bush. But what
else can they do? That's the thing. It's like they're forced into that point because,
in a hard place.
And I think the big thing here is like they use all their big cooldowns, right? Trundle's down. Zero is the only thing really available. You don't even have the Ornol. So at this point, Sengoku go, they count the cooldowns left. They go, hang on a second. They don't exactly have much to work with here.
And not only this, Jet's ultimate actually cools down. Remember, he used this at the very beginning of the fight.
16.
And
level 16.
exactly, right? So he gets to pull it in again. He gets the second Orn. And this is honestly the defining moment that changes it for me, because the moment they knock up Fujimoto, half of the team are split at that point. They have 3 members at the top, and then you have just Fujimoto in the middle, and then a very, very dead Ray Parky, who is their engage, who is their frontline. He's meant to be everything. And then when he gets called out, Viego moment like that happens. Thank you, Chris, for that. That was beautiful as I go back into darkness. Nymera, beautiful Crow. Ultimately, though, Sengoku were victorious. We did all predict that, and it was a 38, almost 39-minute game. So what does this mean for Burning Core? Because I feel like there are some good takeaways for Burning Core at the end of the day, because they didn't just completely capitulate and fall apart, which was something I was a little worried about.
I think that their team composition was fine. I think the game plan was fine. I think they were individually outclassed, and I think that's a problem when you are a lower table team versus the top table one. I think Vital was by far the best AD carry on the day. I think he was constantly just making sure that Burning Core could never reach them. They never threatened the Zeri, and even if they managed to kill the front line, they were never getting that Zeri. Similarly, when you were looking towards the big playmakers, Sengoku typically found their mark. In Burning Core, I think the strategy was good. The execution was lacking, sadly.
Crow?
Yeah, honestly, it was just I don't want to say like draft diff, but player diff. It really felt like Burning Core, they were trying their best to, make everything work at every situation. And it was a really solid composition. I did like the team composition, but they weren't able to play it to the strength that they wanted to. And Sengoku were just like, all right, that's cool. I mean, you can run, you can hide, but eventually we're going to catch you. And that happened every single time, and it just showed. But I really was impressed for how long Burning Core were able to hold on. Because, you still got that 38-minute banger,
And they still had some good moments. So, I mean, at least there is still some good in Burning Core at this moment in time. And hey, we've seen crazy things happen in playoffs before. We're yet to see a team fully make it through the lower bracket to actually win the LJL. But hey, maybe Burning Core could be that first one. No, we're yet to see that one happen. DFM almost did it, but we all know how that went. History has been proceeded. Chris, I would like to try and steal something from J-Roll, but I just want the impress part, because, gentlemen, I think it's time to wrap up the show here. Crow, I want to come over to you first. You only covered the last 2 games with us, and I don't want to put you on the spot expecting that, but between the first 20 players that you saw, can we just get it so it's just impress? Can I? No, okay. I got told by our creative director no. So all right, we're sticking with it.
You and your unreasonable requests.
Look at me. It's like I'm all about that. Crow, the first 20 players that you casted over today, game 3 and game 4. Who's your impress for today? Who's your MVP? If you have one.
Let's see. I would have to say. Yeah, it would definitely be Vital, just because like that Zeri play was just so good. Just being able to completely ADC gap.
20 CS in the first 15 minutes is impressive.
Yeah, and like they lost that, like they got first blooded. They had all that pressure, and then we look away and we come back. We're like, wait a minit, hold on. This shouldn't be the other way around, but no. And he just continued on from there. He didn't let anything stop him from performing monstrously.
Dodge, if you're out there in the ether, I would love to hear from you. I actually want to go over to the man that you won't be able to hear, ladies and gentlemen, but I would love our producer extraordinaire, has he got an MVP for the day?
This guy. Ooh.
It's gotta be Eddie, he says. The Ebby gap, as usual. I think I would agree with him. Yes, no messes. Only impresses today here with me.
Thing is, I would actually say Steel. I think Steel had a wonderful game, because I look at what happened with Ebby, and that thing with Ebby doesn't happen if Steel hasn't wrecked the rest of the map. I am sad that I'm like, well, it's the Wrestle just started to fall off the heat a little bit, but I think Steel absolutely ran through whatever the hell Rascal Jester wanted to put it to them. Early game, first couple of levels, getting something mid, disengaging bot, get something top. This guy is on the season of his absolute career. And if this team goes internationally again, I think that steal is going to be a big factor of why they do that.
And what's crazy is I was going to be like, yeah, wrong. So look at us, 3 DFM players, and we've got Vital coming in, the new AD carry replacing Honey to an extent. So, I mean, hey, we've just got arguably a Hall of Fame class coming along here, except Udapon would definitely be angry at us if we didn't include them in that All-Pro. So maybe Yaharong has to get snubbed again. Who knows? We'll find out. Voting will be happening soon, though, so make sure to join our Discord server to have your say on that. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for the end of day 17 here at the LJL OU. Crow, it's been fantastic to have you on again. Nymera, it's been just too long.
It's been a good return. It has been. It's been really good to be back.
But with that said, thank you so much, everybody, for listening and or watching. But we will see you all very, very soon. Take care. Bye.